All right, guys, it is time. We are now 3 minutes past where I wanted to be at this moment, because this is a big moment for us. Everyone, please get excited and welcome David Andry to the channel.
Where's my little board that I can be like,
Hello.
What's going on, David?
Hey, how's it going?
Look at how fancy Bruce is. Oh my God, amazing. Yeah. He is so organized. You know what I did to get ready for this? My hair. Bruce did everything else.
So everyone, please say hello to David in the chat. David is obviously the writer of Resonant. He's been such a big part of this channel since we reached out to him
He was the first. He's the first. You always remember.
I'll always be your first. Although, so David, hold on a sec. I'm watching on my phone, which is usually where I watch the live stream, and I'm like a good 30 seconds behind. So I think you guys owe me like 6 correct trivia answers. At this
I think that means your Wi-Fi is off.
I don't think Frank is winning all this stuff. I think it was me all along.
To Verizon. I think that's the problem.
I have Verizon. I got to turn the Wi-Fi off, maybe.
That's what I do. I never have my Wi-Fi on. I'm anti-Wi-Fi. Is that like a thing? Like an anti-vaxxer? I'll be an anti-Wi-Fi?
That's probably a thing in the future.
I'm anti-Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a thing.
So I guess the first question is, how are you doing this evening, David?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on, guys. It's fun being on the other side of the chat now.
I mean, we are over the moon excited, but I also have another very important question. We chatted real quickly last night, and you said you were going to have beer. Are you drinking a beer? What are you drinking?
So I have to do my reveal. What I'm drinking tonight is
that is cool.
Device Brewery, which is a local Sacramento brewery. I'm drinking a Kid Casual. It is a blonde ale. It's very light. It's a 4.7%. So I haven't tried it yet, so we'll get into this real quick. I'm not going to be
support
fancy.
Any beer that's named after children.
I'm not going to be fancy and pour it into a glass like you guys, but I'm not sharing.
It's only because we have to share them, because if we each drank one, we wouldn't make it to 10:30.
Yeah, that's a pretty light beer, too. This is a good summer drinking beer.
Nice.
It's good for the show. We won't get you too sloshed. You'll be able to make it through the interview.
I only brought 2 beers in the room with me, so I'll be okay.
Well, we have 3 more to get through, so.
Well, although 2 beers would probably, I'd probably be pretty done by now. I haven't drank in a long time.
All right. Are you ready for the questions?
Let's do it.
All right. So I think the first one that we should start with, I think a lot of people might not know you. I've watched a few interviews with you. How did you get into comics? Like when was your first entry into comics? Was when you were a kid? Did you get in older like I did? Stephanie actually just got into comics last year when I introduced her to comics.
It's my first year. It's our anniversary of my comic book reading.
And you picked a good one to be a fan of right away.
I did, right? It was the perfect time. The stars have aligned.
That's right. I mean, my first comic book experience, the first time I saw and started collecting comic books was I was in 6th grade, and a kid brought Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comics to school. And I think I'd probably seen comics on racks and stuff in supermarkets, but I'd never looked through one or really checked one out. And just looking at a couple of issues of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and I was done. I'm like, all right, I got to get into this. And that was kind of my entry point. And then, started going to a local comic book shop. The town I grew up in, Manteca, had a comic shop called Comic Dreams. And the owner there was this guy named Randall, who was just super awesome. And he would just let us hang out. We were those kids that were, me and my friend were those kids that were at the comic book shop all day, Saturday, Sunday. When my friend got old enough to work, he started working there. And so grade school, about 6th grade on through high school, serious, collector. And that was in the 90s, the beginning, I graduated in 92 from high school. So that was right at the beginning of the image boom and the comic book boom. And and then went to college and ran out of money. So I stopped collecting for about 10 years.
Have you since started collecting again?
Yeah. When I started, so about 10 years ago, 11 years ago, started volunteering at the Skybound booth at big shows. The first one was like San Diego Comic-Con. With
There's
Skybound
a show called San Diego Comic-Con.
I don't know if you guys heard about it.
Well, I had gone to San Diego Comic-Con with some friends for years, just as a fan. And even I didn't even collect comics. I just went because they were going, and I'm like, I love comics, even though I don't have any money to buy any. I'll go and check it out. And then my friend Sean Kirkham, his good friend, he lived in LA, and his good friend that worked at a comic book shop was Cena Grace. And that was Robert Kirkman's editor for The Walking Dead.
Oh, wow.
And so when Robert Kirkman decided to create Skybound, he wanted a booth at San Diego. This was when the TV show was announced. It was not out yet. It was just announced. And they wanted to have a big presence at San Diego. So Cena reached out to my friend and said, hey, we need some people to work the booth. And then I got pulled into that. And then from then on, I've been volunteering with Skybound at it used to be a lot of cons. Now that I'm getting older and it's hard, I do that. But yeah, when I found out, we're going to be working the Skybound booth, I've never read a Walking Dead comic. I'd never read Invincible. So I went and just bought all the trades, all the hardcovers, as much stuff as I could get, and read everything so I would know what I was selling at the show. I didn't stand there going, hey, what's this comic about? I'm like, hell if I know. I don't know. So
pictures, you'll like it.
That was like the hook to get me back in. And then it's been nonstop since then.
Awesome. That is awesome. So follow-up question to that, unless you have something.
No, that was beautifully executed, David. I'm very happy with your response.
Thank you. I didn't even practice.
So a big question for me, especially since you were collecting during the 90s and late 80s probably, do you still have those comic books? Because some stuff that my mom just gave me, like original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from when the toys first came out, they're a little beat up. She just gave those. The original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle cards she just gave me. So, I mean, wasn't collecting comics, sadly. I wish my parents... I grew up in New Hampshire. There were no comic book stores to be found anywhere. But do you still have any of those comics?
So, when I moved out to go to college, I left everything, I was living in a dorm. I'm not going to bring, 50 long boxes or whatever, however much I had at the time. So my parents stored it, and then my parents moved to North Carolina and moved it with them. That's very nice of them. Yeah, it was really nice of them. At some point, I had an apartment, and I think I bought a house or something. And my dad's like, hey, you got space? I'm like, yeah, I guess I got space. And I got 600 pounds of comic books shipped to me in the mail.
Oh my God, that has to be so expensive.
It was so expensive. And it was one of those things where I walked in the post office. I said, hey, I got this, notice of packages. And they all looked at me like, oh, you're the one. And started bringing them out in these rolly flatbed cart things. And I just had to fill up my truck at the time. And so eventually I got sick of toting those around, and comics from the 90s aren't really worth anything. So I think I sold the whole lot for a couple $100 after I had picked out some kind of choice ones that I wanted to keep. So the long answer to a short response is yes, I still have some of them, but it's about half of a short box. The ones that just meant a lot to me. Maybe not even the ones that are super valuable, but the ones that meant a lot to me, I kept. And all the rest, I had to purge them and get rid of them.
Right.
And I showed you guys yesterday how many short boxes I have in this room. I'm not going to show everybody else, but this is just from the last 10 years or so. So I got to do another purge coming up here.
So off the top of your head, can you name any of the comics that you still have from when you were a kid?
I'm pretty sure I have. So I have a signed Art Adams New Mutants annual that I actually picked up at a convention when I was probably in 8th grade.
Oh, wow.
And it was $5. And I was like, oh, my God, can I afford this $5 comic book? But it was, Art Adams is one of my all-time favorite artists from before and even till today. So I know I have that one. I have some Justice League International that I kept, which is my favorite comic of all time. And I probably have a couple of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles ones that are still squirreled away in there.
Oh, amazing, amazing. All right, so next question. We have about 3 minutes or 2 minutes before we get to the next giveaway thing. What inspired you to start writing comics? And when did you start writing comics?
Well, I'll get 2 minutes. I don't know if I can answer this.
No, we can start and then pause and then come back to it.
So, when I was a kid, that is what I wanted to do. I wanted to write comics. And the summer after my 6th grade year in grade school, every single day I rode over to my friend's house on my bike, and we made a comic book. And when I say we made a comic book, we drew, I think, 4 pages of a comic book, and it took us all summer. And it never got finished. But it was called Assorted Animal Assassins, and that's
nice.
Still, I'm trademarking that right now. No one else can do it.
Everyone on here heard it.
Yeah, it was a 100% Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles ripoff. Animals that fight. I think my character was a seahorse. It was like a seahorse with swords and stuff, and yeah, it was ridiculous. It was so terrible. And then I made a comic book in 8th grade that was like comic strips, and so it was like supposed to be funny, and I don't think it was. I don't even remember.
Funny to 8th grade David.
Yes, I can't really draw. So one of the main characters was an egg with feet. So I could draw an egg. So it was an egg with feet. Was one of the main characters. He might have had a hat. I'm not sure. I don't remember. And then in the 90s, I had a friend, a Clay, that was like, he lived with my family for a short while after high school graduation. He was just an amazingly talented artist. And this was the time in the 90s when companies were having talent searches. So Image and like Wildstorm had these talent searches. And I applied to 2 of those. And I still have the rejection letters from those. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah, of course. I'm like, my first 2 rejection letters, they read, like, they were really actually nice. They talked about the content of what I wrote. They're like, this doesn't seem like it's a big enough story and whatever. But it was nice. I was so excited that someone had actually read it.
Right.
Yeah. And then, I went to college and had to study and do other stuff and have life. So it kind of went away. I always wrote here and there. I ran like role-playing, I ran like the D&D style, like role-playing games. We did a Champions Adventure, which is like superheroes and stuff. And I would always have something creative like that to do, but it wasn't until I started volunteering for Skybound and started talking to like writers and artists and seeing kind of what because you just don't know how does someone write a comic book? What is it? What's the mechanics of it? And so once I kind of learned the mechanics of it, I started doing that, just kind of writing scripts and getting used to the feel of it, and self-published some stuff. I got together with some friends, my friend Chris Alvarez and his now wife, Hannah Moore. And we formed Ghost Thunder, which was our little collective. And we did a bunch of self-published stuff, self-published comics and anthologies and things like that. And just spent a couple of years kind of doing the convention circuit locally and just basically learning how to write and how to make a comic. And then kind of once I felt like I had the confidence I could see I can do this. Then I started doing bigger pitches. And that's kind of where Resonant came from.
Amazing.
I love it.
Amazing.
I'm going to write comic books.
See? You just
do it. Do it.
3 minutes.
It's not hard. If I can do it, anybody can do it.
All right, Dave, I'm going to drop you back to the backstage for a few minutes. We're going to do another trivia question, and then we're going to open another beer, and then we're going to come back, and then we're going to talk Resonant.
Let's do it.
I'm excited. I need to know. There have already been questions asked.
There have been.
People have been reaching out to us, David.
Okay, I'm here to answer.
Is coming.
I'm here to answer questions, and I'm going to jump in the trivia and steal some prizes.
But let's bring David back on because I want to learn more about Resonant. So let's do it. Oh God, I hate this view. This is the one that I wanted.
Yes, my face is way too big in that other view.
Everybody wants to know.
So is there any questions you want to dive into before we do our ones that we sent him before?
I am just very interested in the process of how you actually do write a comic book, but that probably is a very long question. Like if I wanted to make a comic book, what do I do?
So everybody, I think you ask 20 different writers, they're going to have 20 different answers. But just the pure mechanics of it, I do what's called a full script, which for pretty much every project that I've worked on so far, which means that I'll do do my kind of brainstorming and notes and kind of think about the world and try to get everything going just like a normal story, and then do a little bit of a light outline. And then you basically say, page 1, panel 1, this is what it looks like. Page 1, panel 2, this is what it looks like. And you decide how many panels per page and how many what the dialogue is, and basically put it all in there as like a script. So it almost reads like a movie script where it has people's lines and what they say, and you describe the action. And with comics, you pay attention to things like page turns. So you start on page 1, which is an odd page, which is on the right-hand side. So that means you have to turn to get to page 2. So if you want to have cliffhangers and stuff in the story, you put those at the end of an odd page, and then you flip it over to an even page. If you want a 2-page spread that has to start on an even and then end on an odd. So I don't know. It was just, I had read comics for so long that it was such an easy medium for me to tell a story in, because I know what that feels like, and I know what my reading experience is like, and I know what kind of reading experience I want to create in somebody else. So as far as the mechanics, that's how I do it, and I do what's called a vomit draft, which is just like, I say, this happens and this happens and this person says this, and I just go blah, 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 blah. And I get a whole bunch of crap. And then I'm like, all right, let's put this into a comic book.
But you actually go and approach these comic book, what would you call them? Vendors, artists, who you're just like, hey, guy at Vault, I've got this comic book.
Yeah. So for my indie stuff, for my stuff that I self-published, what I did was I approached artists that I had met just working the con circuit. I actually met a couple that live in Canada, and they were rad people, and we kind of stayed in contact over Facebook. And he was he teaches art, that was his day job, or part of his day job. He worked in a restaurant. And when I wanted to do my very, very, very first self-published comic, I reached out to him and say, hey man, would you like to work on this? What kind of rate do you need, to work on these pages and stuff like that? And so he had set a page rate for me, and I paid him out of pocket and made the pages, and then paid a letterer and had it lettered. And then there's a print shop here in Sacramento that specialize, not specialized, but one of their main businesses is doing comic books, and they print self-published comic books and ship them everywhere. And so I had a print shop here and printed them out, and then lugged them around to conventions and tried to sell my depressing relationship drama comic.
That's amazing, though. It's got to be so cool to have an idea that you put on paper that gets drawn and lettered, and you bring it out to the world, and to
it's
see
literally
succeed. It's got to be the best feeling in the world.
It's literally the best thing. Yeah. And the joy that I get from seeing people buy Resonant is the same as the joy I get working a convention for 7 hours selling one comic and being so pumped that I sold one comic, because it's awesome. And then, I would have people come back the next year. Hey, where's the next issue? I'm like, you want another one of what I wrote? That's crazy.
Hold on, I was using it to make this table uneven, even again.
Yeah.
Out from under the leg of the table.
Yeah, I've sat at a lot of conventions not selling any comics. So that's one of the things you go through, and it's part of the process of learning how to do it. With Vault, I had pitched just the idea, and so luckily my friend Tim Daniel, who I had volunteered with at Skybound, he's the guy who designs all these T-shirts. I'm wearing my friend Liana's She Said Destroy, another Vault title. He designs all the T-shirts and covers and logos and everything for Vault, and he's also an amazing writer. He does the plot with Michael Morisi. He co-writes it with Michael Morisi for Vault. And so luckily I had a connection with him, and since when he started working with Vault, I'm saying, hey man, I got some stuff. Do you think I could pitch it to Adrian, who's the editor-in-chief? And he's like, yeah, let me talk to him. And so, for me, it was lucky, but you also kind of have to be ready with some stuff. I didn't pitch immediately because I wasn't ready. But after I'd spent a couple years writing stuff and getting the craft honed, as best I could, when I felt like it was good, I pitched to Adrian, and I only pitched him 2 things out of like 7 things that I had prepared, because I wanted to really just pick the best stuff. And the second thing I pitched to him was Resonant. And,
second thing.
Yeah.
That's
the first thing still exists. It's still it's another pitch that I'm still working on. But yeah, so, and he liked it immediately, and enough that he wanted to keep working on it and see some scripts. And I sent stuff to him, and like 2 years later, the first issue came out.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So
forever, but if I keep asking off script questions, we're gonna run out of time because it's almost 10:45 already. We haven't even talked about Resonant.
Yeah.
So quickly explain to the people what Resonant is. We have a bunch of questions in chat already. Everybody be able to get their questions and maybe be able to answer one of the questions.
Do some lightning
round with you, David.
Do some lightning round questions.
Resonant. What is this? Yes or no answers. Let's go.
Yeah, Resonant as what it is as a story.
I think just give us like your
a synopsis.
Okay.
Resonant.
It's a post-apocalyptic. Yeah, it's a post-apocalyptic kind of. I call it a family drama. People call it a horror, whatever you want to call it. But it's about a father who has to go out and get medicine for his chronically ill son in this post-apocalyptic world. And the thing that has created this apocalypse are these invisible, random waves of energy that force people to follow their deepest, darkest impulses. And the only way to predict these waves is by having a cicada, which chirps really loud when the waves are approaching. So people prepare themselves by either tying themselves down or other methods. And our hero Paxton, or one of our heroes, Paxton, he can meditate and still his mind. So it gives him a little bit of advantage when other people have to tie themselves down. So he goes out into this world, tries to find medicine for a son or medical help for a son. And then things happen. And so we follow the father as he's like fights to get back to his kids. And we follow the kids as they struggle to survive without their father.
So that was a perfect description.
It's like you wrote the book.
It's almost like,
but also, how could, when Resonant is huge, which it already is huge, but when it gets even bigger, I would love for you to write like a prequel, because I would love to hear about how people figured out what the waves are and like the process of how people, because I mean, I'm sure thousands of people died before they realized, you got to tie yourself down. This is what's happening. This is like,
I mean, it came from something called high place phenomenon or call to the void, which is like an impulse to do, like if you're on a bridge, to step off the bridge, or if you're on a tall building, to, and it's something that a lot of people experience, but people don't act on. It's not a self-harming thing, but it's kind of about all these random thoughts that go through your head, like if you're cutting, you're like, what would it feel like if I cut my finger off? And not that you're going to plan on cutting your finger off, but these thoughts exist in your head.
It's
so the
true.
waves kind of
weird thoughts all the time.
Yes. And if you, and so, the idea of Resonant was, what if people just followed these thoughts, and what would the world look like? And I'm like, well, planes would crash, people would kill themselves, people would jump off of buildings. So that's kind of the start of the whole apocalypse. All
right. So before, it is now 10:47, so we got to give away to do, but we have 2 giveaways to do.
Two giveaways to do. At our 10:45/10:47 moment.
All right. So this one I would like David to be part of. He doesn't know that he was going to be part of this, but David sent us those 5 issues of Resonant. He also sent us another that we're keeping some for ourselves, but we do have this. This is number 1. This is the Lantern issue signed, and then it's another issue 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 unsigned that can go to someone right now. But you need to answer this question from David about Resonant. And the first person to answer it correctly in chat will win the stack of 6 issues, 2 number 1s, 1 signed, 1 not, and the rest of the issues not signed.
Ask us a question, David. We're putting you in the spot.
Okay.
A Resonant question.
What is the name of the dog?
Oh my God, we almost put that as our question in the trivia, and then we were like, that's a really hard question.
Yes.
I know what it is.
I know what it is too because we looked it up.
I know what it is.
I read it today, so I know it today.
I will be honest. I did not remember the name. I read all the Resonants, but I don't remember the name.
It's not obvious. You got to kind of search for it.
Regan said goo, and is that right? No,
that is not right.
And then he said fuck, and then he said Josh said Kevin.
Kevin is a good name for a dog, though. I'm stealing it, Josh.
No, Fido.
I will say it starts with an F.
Starts with an F.
I feel like Barikan just read it today, so he's trying his hardest to like.
He's probably opening an issue or trying to like. I think he bought it digitally, so he's probably like, "Oh my god, what is it? What is it?"
Starts with an F, and it's a plant.
Also, while we're waiting,
it is a plant. Yes, Fern, comic book poser.
Got it right. Sorry, poser. You're getting all 5 issues. Resonant. Yes. Sent to you. We already have your address.
Oh, Barikan, I'm so sorry. But you still have
someone wrote Zool in the old comic book, which would have been amazing. David, you missed your opportunity.
Sorry. She was named after a real dog.
You have a real dog named Fern?
No, my dog's named Busy Bee, but we had a dog that we tried to rescue that was dumped at our house, and we named her Fern.
I like it.
So that was in honor of her.
Aw.
So, David, will you stick around for another 15 after this and answer the questions from chat?
Let's do it.
Amazing.
Right, before we do our giveaway for the 10:45 hour, which I know we're already late, 4 minutes behind, I would like to point out that Joe Donahue is in chat, and he heard that there's a cool Resonant story out there, which I wanted to mention because I saw that because he is on Twitter all the time replying to David Andry, and I saw that he had written a book called Rebecca, which is like a spin-off of Resonant, and I was like, is this a real thing? Did someone actually write this? And I want to know because I am missing out on reading that if it's true.
It exists on the internet. You can find it. Follow Joe on Twitter. I'm sure he'll post it.
I do have
but that was Joe approached me and wanted to make just a fan comic, and our friends, my friend Tim and other friends make Star Wars fan comics all the time, and I'm like, sure, I'm super honored that someone would make a fan comic. I'm like, go for it. And so yeah, he wrote up a nice little short fan comic for Resonant, and hopefully someday I can get it into the back of a book or a hardcover or something. But for now, it exists on the internet.
I'm gonna read it.
Yeah, and it is a story just in the world of Resonant.
I love it. Joe O'Donohue on Twitter. If you follow us, you'll be able to follow him. Find it.
Joe, I'm excited. Joe, if you send your stuff to James Galagos, he can wrench you in and get your link into...
James Galagos is our wrench master supreme, and he wrenches whatever needs to be wrenched.
Yeah, my wrench is for display purposes only. It's not a functional wrench.
It's to let you know that you are always going to be our first.
All right, Dan, I'm going to drop it to the back. And we'll be right back.
We're back, David. All right, sorry for my rant about Kentucky Fried Chicken Crocs, but come on now. Who wouldn't be angry about that?
I mean, stank foot versus Kentucky Fried Chicken. I'd rather smell Kentucky Fried Chicken.
But still,
I feel like it's not gonna
worse than Crocs than Kentucky Fried Chicken.
I feel like the combination is gonna get real terrible real fast.
Feet and fried chicken.
Yeah, it's not gonna be good.
Who wants this?
Yeah.
All right, so I am back to where the questions are, but David, I have a question, a very important question, which I already know the answer to, but I want you to share this answer with everyone else. When can everyone expect issue 6 of Resonant?
It's been so long.
It's
ridiculous how long it's been. It's stupid. It is coming out in December. And then it'll be monthly through the next 5 issues, monthly through April. As long as everything, in the world doesn't fall apart any more than it already has.
Which it could, but
but that's the plan right now. Work started on issue 6 yesterday.
So amazing. We are huge fans. I know we've made some fans out of some of the community in here, so I know they are all excited. So you said all the way through April, so that's another 5 issues.
5 issues, yeah.
Is there plans to go beyond the next 5?
We will see. There's no plans to not, but there's a very, I think, satisfying resolution of a lot of the storylines at 10. So I think people are going to be pretty happy with 10. I feel like the first 5, I think I said this to you guys yesterday, the first 5 set the table, and the last 5 we really feast. It's a lot of the resolution of stuff that's been building. Where we left off on 5, some big stuff was happening.
Sure, it was.
So all that stuff comes to a resolution by 10. Not everything gets fixed, so there are more avenues to explore if we choose to. And I've actually written 15 issues, so I've written 5 more issues. It becomes a much different book after 10. So it's kind of like, do I want to do more, or are people wanting more? But I would be very willing to go past 10. But I'm very happy when we get to 10. I'll be happy either way.
Amazing. What you're saying, everyone get down to the store, buy as many copies of Resonant as you can, so that way we can get to 15, and then let's buy more, so that way we can get to 20, and let's push this to 50 issues. That's what you're saying.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Order from Diamond right now. I think the first printing of the first issue is completely sold out. That thing's gone forever. There's a second printing of the first issue that you can order for Diamond. I think all the other issues are still in stock at Diamond, so they can all still be ordered if you want to get single issues. The trade is available. Amazon, the trade is available at your local comic book shops. I would prefer if you bought from your local comic book shops, so support local. And yeah, get the trade, read the comic, love it.
Or come to this channel and
start a YouTube channel about it.
We win more stuff because we're
always giving away wares and stuff.
We bought 3 trades to send to people a few days ago. So
I don't even know how many T-shirts you guys have purchased.
That's one of the comic book questions. How many T-shirts have we bought?
I don't know. That number's got to be pretty high.
It's up there.
It's up there. We love to support David
yes,
and everything that he does. David, if let's say Vault has lost their mind and they refuse to go past 10, are you like legally allowed to do like a GoFundMe page and then have them fund another 5 issues?
Then we're getting into contract issues where because it's creator owned, but they have publishing rights for a certain amount of time. So if they decide to stop publishing, then eventually at some point the rights revert back to me, and then I can publish however I want. But let
me know that day, and I will start a GoFundMe page.
I feel like if I really pushed for it, we would do it. So we'll see how the next 5 go, and see how many people jump on board.
Also, I'd like to say that Comic Book Poser said in chat, he's like, I got a Resonant shirt because one day I was like, hey, can I have a shirt? And then we sent him one. So all you guys do is ask, guys. We will send you a shirt.
All right, there it is. Now 11:01. We are going to drop you backstage one more time. We'll come back. We'll answer the chat questions. All right, now, guys, let's bring the guest of honor back on, and we are going to answer your questions.
Wait, I have a question. Wait, but I feel like that's also a question in there. I'm not going to ask my question because I feel like someone else asked my question.
Wait, actually, let me change the background real quick so I can actually highlight the questions. And then here, and then all right. So first question
that we can ask
is from Bullreeking Comics. How many projects do you have right now available for purchase?
Well, comic book shops, it's Resonant. I have a short, very short. I think it's 8 pages in an anthology that you can get from Iron Circus Comics. It's a sci-fi anthology called FTL Y'all, and it's a sci-fi anthology about a cheap to make Lightspeed engine becomes available, and they post the schematics online. And what do people do with a cheap faster than light engine? And so it was basically an open call for submissions. So I got this. It was actually pretty cool that they chose my submission, because I didn't have a friend that said, hey, this guy's pretty good. It was just a blind submission.
Amazing.
And so, I was like, okay, maybe I can write. Who knows? And so that's a very short in the anthology. And then my self-published stuff is on ghostthunder.com. you can go to our Store Envy site, and I have a 4-issue relationship drama miniseries called The Wild Uncertain that's all self-published. And then we have a couple of anthologies that we did, and I basically wrote all the stories of the anthology, and there's 4 or 5 different artists that did it. That was also just friends, people I knew, artist friends, and my friends at Ghost Thunder. They illustrated a couple of the stories, and so we put together a couple of anthologies that are nearly out of print, but there might be some still available on the Ghost Thunder website. And then I have a novella up on Amazon Kindle that you can download. It's called Coterie. It's one of my favorite stories I've ever written. It's about the lady in the lake gets tired of tossing out swords to dudes, so she decides to go on her own adventure. And so she gathers together a bunch of her, like, the women that help other people on their quests. She gathers them all together, and they go on their own quest. So it's a fairy godmother and the lady in the lake and a muse.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, and it's hopefully funny. I think I try to be funny. It's like an action comedy, fantasy comedy. So it's a short little read. I think it's like 60 or 80 pages, something like that. And it was just a fun story I wanted to get out.
Amazing. All right,
I think that's it.
I just kind of want to interject and just let you know that Leo is on, and he said he was here. He just hasn't commented. So he's aware that he won. Congratulations, Leo.
Good job, Leo.
Let us know in chat if you want $25 gift ticket to Trevor and then to your local comic book store. If you want $50 just to your local comic book store, or $50 just to Trevor, which is a beer website where you can order any beer you want. As a comics and beer channel, we felt it very appropriate to donate money to a local comic book store and also to beer. We always recommend and support anyone drinking beer.
All right, so this next question comes from my best friend, Joshua Jones. How do you influence the artists?
Well, depends. Well, so like I said, I do a full script, so I'm usually putting like shot angles and shot depths and, all that stuff together. But I also like to put in references for the artists, if my descriptions aren't clear. So, I'll have a verbal description of what's happening. But especially for like the first issue and for Resonant in general, I put together a lot of reference materials. Like, this is what I want the world to look like. This is the area of the country they're in. Mm-hmm. So as much as I can, because I want to make sure that what I'm seeing is what the same thing that the artist is seeing.
Right.
And so usually they'll do like thumbnails, and say, hey, how does this look? And after the thumbnail stage, you go, cool, go to pencils, and after pencils, they go to inks. So every step of the way, you usually have some level of input saying, oh, I don't like the way this is looking. Maybe we can change this. But in general, I assume that artists are better at art than I am because they're artists. So I try to trust my artists as much as I can and let them, usually they come up with a better idea than I had, and then I get to take credit for it. So it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. You're like, look at how amazing the story that I wrote.
Yeah, they're like, oh, I really like what you did there. I'm like, yes, I like that they did that too.
There's a lot of questions coming in, so after you do that one, there's more down the bottom.
Okay. Next up, from James Galagos, who is one of our biggest supporters on the channel, period. He's
our wrench.
He's our biggest wrench. If you could have any artist pencil a story you wrote, who would it be? Oh, God.
That's the thing. There's like a billion. There's like,
or let's say alive or dead.
Alive or
go.
Like I already said, Art Adams is one of my favorite artists of all time. Yes. That would be like the ultimate dream, but I mean, you can just throw a rock in a comic book shop and you'll hit somebody that I love. Fiona Staples is probably one of my all-time favorites right now. Fiona Staples does Saga with Brian K. Vaughan.
Yes. Okay, yes.
Yeah. So, all of them. It would be like so many. The list is infinitely long. That's a terrible answer, but I'm going to go with Fiona Staples.
That's a great answer.
I'm looking for the next first question.
He is the main character.
Well,
a question. It's a statement.
It's a statement. That's not a question. I think when you read 6 through 10, you may change your mind on.
And I'm sure it's going on, but I'm sorry, David. Paxton is heavily influenced.
Hey, look, Paxton was supposed to be the main character. Paxton is who I thought was going to be the main character. Beck did not allow me to make her a background character. She took charge. So sometimes the characters decide for you what they're going to do. She turned out to such a badass.
Beck. They called her Beck.
Call her Beck, but I just want to say, like, Beck, I cannot wait for her to take the main stage.
Oh, my God.
I am over the top excited because she is incredible. She's amazing. I loved her from panel 1.
And am I forgetting? But you don't ever tell you how Becca lost her leg, right? Like that's not in the story. Is it coming at all in the story? Will we ever find out? It's just a mystery. I assume like some.
It's not a mystery to me. I know, but it's a mystery. It doesn't have to be.
Well, that's not fair.
Well, I don't want her to be defined by what is seen by most people as a disability.
Like a super cool, awesome story where she like wrestled a bear and like was like choking it out, and the bear like scratched her leg, and then an infection seeped in, so she had to chop it off like Walking Dead style.
Maybe. How about I let you come up with the idea, and then I'll steal it and pretend like it was mine.
That was my idea.
Okay, done. Now when you see it in the book, you're going to say, "Oh, I came up with that."
It got infected. She had to chop it off.
She had to chop it off herself? That's baller.
Right? She's fucking badass.
She looks baller.
She's badass. Yeah. She chopped it off to stem off the infection. So then.
All right. So
I have the next one as comic book poser.
All right. She has the next one. So, but I just want to say hello to Comic Music Explained. I don't know if we hit you in chat earlier. In the old comics, the old collections in the house. The boy who had 7 talks comic books. Matt, you are an amazing dude. We love you so much.
You have to get off David Andry's thing to say she's the main character for me to be able to click on the next one.
Go back up then.
That factual statement I put up there.
Okay.
Well, you need to be in StreamYard, baby.
Oh, I'm on the wrong thing. I'm on YouTube. Well, now I gotta go find that. All right. Anyway, David, Comic Proposer wanted to know when there will be a diamond code, which I'm assuming.
and I'm not sure. Usually, I think it's like 6 weeks to 8 weeks, something like that, before the comic is solicited, and so there'll be a diamond code once that happens. It might even be longer than that. I know all the covers are probably due, so we could get it into the diamond catalog before we even finish art on the first issue, on the next issue. So probably in the September, October, November, there'll be a diamond code.
Sometime in your lifetime, you'll get a diamond code. It's a diamond code, so I'm not like a comic book professional.
That's how they order it.
Mean like that Diamond, the distributor of all the comic books, is going to give you a code to be able to download the book?
No, they have a code that is linked to pre-ordering the book. So it basically would be a code that you tell your comic book shop, and they punch it into the Diamond catalog, and then it'll come up Resonant issue 6.
I understand now.
But usually, if you just search, just say, "Hey, pull Resonant for me," they'll pull it for you.
Now I understand.
All right, so I found the next questions. Here we go. This is from Sam King. How hard is it to find an artist that complements your stories? Different artists have different styles that might not always mesh with certain genres.
100%, 100%, and that's a pretty big thought process that goes into approaching artists if you didn't approach the artist, or if you want to work with a certain artist that kind of dictates the type of story you're going to tell them. It's Stephanie's turn to go pee, everybody.
Pee, I'm sorry. It's been an hour.
It's an hour. That's when Stephanie goes pee. She usually crawls under the table, though, to do it.
I asked her something. Do you want me to go underneath?
So absolutely, there's tons of artists that are great, to tell a comedic story, and tons of artists that are great to tell a horror story, and that doesn't always. You can't always flip them around. So when looking for an artist for Resonant, I specifically wanted somebody with more of a scratchy style and more of an unfinished style to give some chaos to the world, but also somebody that could convey human emotion and facial expressions. So there was a lot of debate when we were searching for artists with Vault, and luckily Vault had a nice list of people to choose from and gave me some options when after they picked up the book and before we started working on it.
Amazing, David. Your answers are so thorough, and I love every single one. Next up is from Leo Marquez, the grand prize winner from this month. What made you want to get into comics? Any professional writing background before?
No, other than just always wanting to write, always wanting to be in the comic book world, and volunteering with Skybound and being behind the booth. Man, I just wanted to be back there with my own stuff so bad, and it really kind of drove me to want to create my own things, and I'd always been a creative person and always been a writer. I accidentally got an English minor just by taking yeah well, when my original degree was in kinesiology with single subject teaching, which is basically you're going to be a PE teacher. Before I got into physical therapy, and like the year before I graduated, they said, "Hey, you need a minor." I'm like, "Oh my God, I haven't taken any other classes." And then I looked at my credits, and I had enough credits for an English minor already without taking any more classes. So I probably have enough credits for an English major.
All right. Next one is not so much a question, but my best friend also says he's very pumped for issue 6. Obviously, people want to see your stuff. Keep bringing it. I'm
trying, man. I got pitches going out. I sent a pitch out last week, and just a blind pitch, and hopefully stuff will get picked up.
I'm so excited about the pitch.
Yeah, I've been in talks with Vault on another series, so hopefully that will get picked up. And then I'm working with Tim Daniel. We're co-writing 3 different things right now, without a home for any of them. But once they're to a stage where we can start pitching them, I'm sure we'll start pitching those things.
There's a home in my heart, David.
I know. I'll send it directly to you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I should be pre-screening all of these things.
Well, most of them are a little bit funnier.
I do love comedy. I mean, if you've been following us, you know how much I love stand-up comedy.
I do. Yeah.
So you're very aware. I'm going to go off topic for a second. In a very proud moment for myself, that our 9-year-old daughter hates to read. That's like her least favorite thing. And I've been trying everything under the sun to introduce her to how amazing reading is, because I love to read. It's my favorite thing. I'd rather do it than watching TV, watching movies, anything. Reading beats everything, hands down. I just got her to sit through the whole first book of the Hunger Games series.
Yeah.
She's hooked. She was Googling Hunger Games backpacks. She just wants to have one for next year when she starts. She's all about it. She's like, "Oh my God, I've never felt like this before." Yeah. Guys, I'm the proudest I've ever been as a
well, comic books
comic
books is what got me into reading. Ever. Yeah, comic books got me into reading, which got me into wanting to write. And so I'm still a voracious reader. I still read all the time, and I would also a lot of times would rather read than watch TV. I read the Wheel of Time series like 6 times. I'm like, each book is like a comic book. It's a novel series, and each novel is over 600, 700 pages, and there's like 14 of them. Yeah. And so, yeah, it's a very long fantasy series. The first 4 books are amazing. The last 4 books are amazing. The middle is just
that's just how
yeah.
You can't expect them all to be amazing.
I think I've read Harry Potter 7 or 8 times now.
Yeah.
Guys, my point is reading is amazing. I feel the same way. I could watch a movie and I'm like, I'm tired. I got to go to bed. But when I read a good book, forget it. I'm like, I'll sleep when I'm dead. It's like 4 o'clock in the morning. Like, I got to know what happens.
All right. So next up, Breaking Comics. I'm just going to let you read it, David. I think
that is a very, very excellent theory. And you may see that theory come to some level of fruition in the next couple of issues. The thing about, if you understand how the waves work, if you're already following your deepest, darkest impulses, what effect would the waves have on you?
Right. You're already a psychopath.
So you may see some level of that in the next set of books.
All right. Another awesome follower, Two Gun Pedro, is there a Marvel or DC character you would want to write for? Two Gun. This is on point, because I would love to see. I am very interested to hear this answer, because this is. I'm a huge comic book fan, but obviously I started with DC and Marvel, so they're dear and near to my heart.
So here, I don't ever think of other character stories. I only ever daydream and plan and write my own character stories. I've never really had that desire to write for Marvel and DC. Not that I would turn anything down ever, but I would probably like to work with lesser known characters. Like one of my favorite DC characters is the Question, or some of the weird ones they've had in Justice League, or somebody that nobody has known anything about for years, where I could have a little bit more free reign. On the Marvel side, definitely like weirdos like Alpha Flight, like a stray, like something nobody really has a strong connection to, so I could beat them up or do some weird stuff with them.
I can see mutants being really easy for you.
Yeah,
they're so weird, but I mean, Alpha Flight, come on, they're so cool. You got Pocket, Sasquatch.
I love them. That, you see, I was always the one. Like my friends got X-Men, and I got Alpha Flight. My friends were getting Batman. I got the Question. So like I always liked the second tier heroes. The guys that didn't have all the flash and had to work a little bit harder at stuff. So it would definitely be like weird second tier characters.
Well, I would personally love to see your take on Green Arrow.
I think Green Arrow would be fun. It's I find heroes like Superman and Batman a little bit boring, because you got to make up crazy stuff for things that people haven't done already, and it's kind of just Batman can't really lose and Superman can't really lose very well.
Yeah.
So it gets a little redundant, I think.
11/21.
I'm just gonna jump to here. Today is Harry Potter's birthday. Harry will be 40 today. Just again, just schooling everyone on anything that needs to be important.
Also, her picture is amazing because she's like posing, but there's two weird people behind her. I'm hoping she's one of the weird people behind her. That would be an amazing picture.
Right,
but Barikan wrote that he could see you writing Constantine.
Oh yeah, Constantine would be fun.
A really good one.
Yeah, that's a good one. One of the pitches I'm working on, I describe it as Gilmore Girls meets Spawn. So it definitely has demons and angels in it. So that would be kind of in my wheelhouse, being raised Catholic. Being trapped in church twice a week for like 18 years.
I would love to destroy the Catholic Church in comic book form.
Right, so, I would. David, would you hang out for another 8 minutes?
Let's do it.
All right. So you guys have 8 minutes. There are 12 people on in chat. If you have 8 minutes to ask David Andry, one of the, in my opinion, again, this is mine, probably Stephanie's as well, one of the best writers in comic books.
It's my top two. It was Little Bird and Resonant. Those are my two favorite comic books I've ever read.
If I'm even like in view of Little Bird, I'm very honored, because that comic is amazing.
No, like I've said a million times on this channel, Bruce tried to get me to read comic books. The first comic book he ever gave me was Spider-Woman, which I liked a lot.
Dennis Hopeless's Spider-Woman is incredible. It's amazing. If you haven't read it, I will send you the trades. I'll send you all the trades that we have, because you should read it. It is so freaking good. And then Bruce tried to get me to read a bunch of Marvel and DC, and I was like, I don't care about any of this. And then I read indies like Little Bird and Resonant, and I was like, oh my God, I could totally read comic books if this is what comic books is.
Yeah. Read Saga. You have to read Saga. There's like, it's my favorite. And I always recommend I Kill Giants, because it's one of the best just pure stories that exists. And it's really powerful, and it made me cry like a little baby when I read it. So
I Kill Giants.
I Kill Giants. It's an image book. It's an older book, but it's amazing.
It's one of the ones I definitely want to read.
Yeah.
I cried like a baby when I read Deceased.
Oh,
have you read Deceased yet?
I haven't read Deceased.
Oh.
I cried. I've never read a DC book before I read Deceased. So it's not like I know a lot about the characters other than what like the movies shove down your throat.
Yeah.
But like they do such a good job of making you care about these characters in such a short period of time that every time a character died, I got laid off now. Thank you, coronavirus. But before that, I had a job where I only got a 30-minute lunch. And on my 30-minute lunch, I tried to quickly read comic books. and I read Deceased in my car, eating my lunch and crying. I'm like, okay, all right. Like, going there, like,
both I Killed Giants and Saga have made me cry multiple times. So
I'm excited. I want to read them now.
Saga's amazing.
Saga Chaos has recommended a bunch.
Yeah.
Right,
Everyone loves Saga, so I definitely feel like I should get into that.
All right, so we got a couple comments. I have a petition. Can this show get an Easter egg in any issue, like a beer can or in the back?
Named BNS. Yes. Oh my God, I never realized that our initials are BS. Like, bullshit. I would totally
I will see what I can do. I'll see what I can do.
Tugan says, Indies where it's at. Yes, we 100% agree. With you, Tugan.
I'm all Indies all the way. I don't care.
James Gallagher asks, will you create characters based on Bruce and Stephanie and put them in the Resonant universe anytime soon?
On, I could totally survive in a post-apocalyptic world.
You know what? I think I might be able to sneak you guys into an episode, into an issue.
I appreciate it. Yes. I want to be part of that weird cult.
You want to be the religious cult?
Well, there's a creepy guy that's dragging like all the guys they gouge their eyes out of, and then there's a creepy cult where I
want to be part of the weird church cult because I was also raised Catholic. I was part of I participated in all the Christian plays where I participated in. Yeah. So I want to also destroy the Catholic religion through comic books.
See, that's when people are like, "Oh, it's a cult. Oh, it's a cult." I'm like, that's just my youth right there. That just looks normal.
My mother is Irish Catholic. She's one of 9 children. They all went to Catholic school. I went to church every Sunday.
I went every Wednesday and Sunday because I went to Catholic school.
Yes, I went to religion every Wednesday and then church every Sunday. And then I participated in the youth group. So I am right there with you, David.
Yeah. My mom was one of 11 kids. And she wanted to be a nun.
Yeah, no. My mom hates the Catholic religion at this point.
All right. So we do have some more questions. Where is it? Did we do this one yet?
No.
What comic book writer is an automatic buy when you put it out?
When they put out a new book? Got it.
Yes.
Brian K. Vaughan, Jonathan Hickman, Tom King.
Tom King's such a good writer.
That's an automatic. So good, I mean, that's an automatic. I don't buy a lot of DC, and anything Tom King puts out, I buy.
And you read our Vision, Tom King.
I did, and I loved it.
Oh, it was so good, right?
Good.
That was so good.
Yep.
So good.
Yeah.
It would be hilarious. So Stephanie is a survivor and Bruce is just a corpse. Oh, Puerto Rican!
I'm a survivor. Bruce is already dead. Which I could totally see, baby. I'm sorry, you're not surviving. In this post-apocalyptic world, the church has selected us few chosen ones.
Stephanie can be a trainer for the chirpers.
I would yell at those chirpers so hard.
Joe says, Joe, for me right now, it's Robert Venditti. I can't say it. I cannot. His Justice League fucking sucks.
I also like that Jessica said she is also a recovering Catholic.
It's a long process, but
it is. We're all trying.
It's worth it. It's worth it.
We have 2 minutes left, guys. 2 minutes left. We've kept him here for
so long. David, you have been
I've almost drank one entire beer. That's a lot for me, guys.
David, come on.
That's a lot for me.
A lot for you. You're really making us look good.
All right, guys. There are 12 people on in chat, guys. Please.
There's still 12 people on. What are you guys doing?
I don't know. It's 11:30. They love you, David. Usually by now it's just James Galagos and like.
Usually by now it's Cheeto time on Instagram.
It is usually Cheeto time on Instagram, guys. We gave away last week, David. I don't know if you were here, but in our impromptu drunken night giveaway, we gave away 3 of the trade signed issues of Resonant that you had told us about that lives on Empire Comics.
Oh,
and I promised that everybody who won would also get a bag of Cheetos. So.
Yeah, if everybody doesn't know, go to Instagram Live after this. The show gets better the drunker they get.
It's true. And we give shit away. And the pre-qualifications for winning are so ridiculous. I'm like, what color are my eyes? And then I just shout things and then you win things. It's amazing.
We haven't done one of those in a long time.
We haven't done Instagram Live in a long time. Because I'm tired and I'm old, guys.
Yeah.
The kids are slowly killing me.
8:30. It's 8:30 for me.
Oh my God, 8:30.
It's 11:30. Guys, we just got an email from the kids' school today that they're not letting the kids come back to school full time. They're doing a hybrid learning where they go back to school like 2 days a week, and the rest of the time I have to fucking teach them. There isn't enough alcohol in Catholic school of religion in this world to get me through the next couple of months. I can't do it.
I forgot. Sam K said, "Don't send Cheetos to Canada; they won't get past customs."
All right, fine. I will send you Cheeto dust on all of your Resonant coffee pages.
That increases the value.
That definitely does. Definitely does.
Cheeto dust. Like, is this Cheeto dust? 9.8.
You said wiener, and that's a lie.
Leo, that's true.
All right.
That is definitely our hashtag.
So,
David, were you here for the story about our 4-year-old who said you said wiener and it's a lie?
No.
I should retell it for the 12 people who were here.
All right, tell it quick because we have to do the 7 questions still. I want David to do his exit spiel. Like, I definitely want him to hype himself up like crazy because David
Andry is
you
amazing.
deserve every single minute. That
we'll be continuing to give away Resonant shirts to the day.
It's not going to
It'll be our dying breath, and I'm like, Bruce will be there because I agree. I'm dying first, whether Bruce likes it or not, and then that's gonna be my dying wish.
Remind everyone that we're gonna have the first interview before issue 6 comes out, and then just like anything you want to say, definitely follow him on Twitter or whatever. Actually, let me change the background real quick, but like let's do all that.
Okay, quickly while Bruce is setting up, I'm going to tell you my wiener story, David.
It's wiener story.
Do it.
So we have a 4-year-old son. One day I was giving him a bath. The bathroom that we give him a bath is on the other side of the hallway. So I get the bath set up. He's in it. I walk away. I'm like, all right, I got to go grab like a hair tie so I can give you a bath. I'll be back in a minute. As I'm walking back, I see like a look of terror on his face. His name is Jack. I'm like, I walk closer and he's like, Nate, which is our 10-year-old son. He goes, Nate pooped in the bathtub while you were gone. And I was like, what? And I come closer and there's like a little bit of poop in the bathtub. And he's like, Nate pooped in the bathtub. I'm like, Jack, did you poop in the bathtub? He's like, no. And I'm like, Jack, I think you pooped in the bathtub. He's like, no. I'm like, all right, Jack, let's sit on the toilet bowl. Let's clean up this bathtub. You obviously pooped in the bathtub. So I put him on the toilet. I give him a whole speech about like lying. I'm like, lying is bad. Nate obviously didn't run up here and poop into the bathtub while you were sitting in here. You obviously pooped in the bathtub. Just tell me the truth and you won't be in as much trouble as lying. Lying is really bad. So I sit him on the toilet. He's got like a little toilet seat you got to put on top of the toilet so he doesn't fall in and sink in because he's only 4. And I'm like, all right, before you sit in and start going to the bathroom, make sure that your wiener is tucked into this little flap. I'm like, put your wiener in. Don't pee all over me. He goes, well, you said wiener, and that's a lie. And I'm like, okay, obviously my lying speech went right over your head. You have no idea what lying is. But it was a historical story, and it kind of caught a lot of attention on the people. So that's kind of a hashtag that is carried on. You said wiener, and that's a lie. That's where that's from.
Oh my god.
So obviously you can stick around for the 7 trivia questions to get your name into the next month's giveaway, which is Bruno Redondo. Bruno Redondo has not recorded his videos yet,
but he has sent us.
Or he has sent us.
Technically sent us.
We have bought some books off him, and there is a lot of trades, a lot of comic books, all signed by Bruno Redondo, which is next month's giveaway. But David, that is not next month. We are still right now. This is your time.
This is David's time.
This is David's time.
Everyone pay attention. If you haven't read Resonant and you follow us on the channel, what the fuck?
You can read the first issue. You can read the first issue for free.
About for a year.
Yeah, you can read the first issue for free. Either on Vault website, they give out the first issue for free. It's an ebook. You can download it. You can share it with your friends. If you're not hooked up to the first issue, you're probably dead already. So. What's going on? You
weren't even raised Catholic.
Yes. What's the problem? My comic was socially distancing before it was cool.
That's right. He was cool before it was cool. They were already wearing masks.
They already wanted people to stay away from them. They're already
living in a cabin in the woods.
They're already self-isolating. He was already homeschooling his kids. All this stuff. I was ahead of the curve, man.
So yes, David, you can get entry into next month's giveaway, but David Andry's still the man. Everybody should be writing Resonant, and whatever books David might have written before that were self-published. Google them, find them.
Well, yes,
read them.
I apologize that we have not bought those yet. We are going to go. Can you remind us of the website that we need to go and buy
on to Instagram and send it to us.
GhostThunder.com.
GhostThunder.com.
I heard Ghost Hunter. Like Ghost Rider. Remember that 1990s TV show Ghost Rider? Yes, where like the ghosts would come and write things for them?
Yes.
That's what I'm going to remember tomorrow, David. So send it to us on Instagram because Ghost Rider is already what I've remembered.
Make sure you guys are following David Andry on both Twitter and Instagram. Down at that handle down below at DB Andry. He
posts all the time. He's so much better at Twitter than I am.
Yeah, I don't post on Instagram unless it's like dog or kitten pictures.
Which I do love your cats that you've adopted, and they're adorable. Yeah. My daughter loves cats, and she's all about it.
Yeah, they're good little cats. And my old lady Pitbull, who is the visual reference for Fern in the comic.
It's amazing. It's beautiful.
I love it.
All right, so we're gonna say our thank yous now, David. I was thinking this is going to be like 15.
Bruce was worried we'd run out of things to talk about. That's how much I love to yell about KFC sentences.
You are absolutely amazing. You have been on for over an hour. We cannot thank you enough. Hopefully the chat enjoyed this because we enjoyed this beyond.
This is definitely the most people who have stayed on this late. Usually we have stragglers who get drunk with us past 11:30. 12 people? This is amazing.
We cannot wait. I guess we will interview you again in December. We'll get a little more Resonant. We will dive deep into the world of Resonant during that interview. This is more of just like we want people to get to know you because you are an amazing dude. Your career is amazing. We are infatuated with you.
Thank you. I love you guys, and I appreciate the support. And like 90% of my t-shirt sales are due to you guys, so I will.
If anyone wants a t-shirt, let me know. I love to buy people t-shirts. I think everyone in chat might already have a t-shirt, but if you don't, send me an Instagram message. I'll buy you a t-shirt.
I do have a Resonant t-shirt, but I didn't want to wear it like I was wearing the shirt of the band that I am a part of. So
don't be afraid. Wear it. I wore this. I got dressed this morning and I put this shirt on because I was like, I want to rock Resonant all day. And I went to several stores in my Resonant shirt today.
Nice.
Just let people know.
Advertising.
It is. I shout at people. I'm like, the chirpers will save you. And like, what? I'm like, nothing. I said, where's the bread? On which aisle?
Thank you, David. Like I said, we're going to spin that wheel 7 more times. If you want to stick around to get those early entries into Bruno Redondo's giveaway, we would love it. If not, and you want to go to bed because it's now 8:37 your time.
Oh my God.
James is correct. By December, all 500 of our subs will have a t-shirt. Jessica, DM me on Instagram what size t-shirt you want. This is a medium. This is what I'm wearing. If your frame is basically the same as mine, medium is what you want.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, guys.
You're amazing.
I appreciate it.
More trivia. Don't leave. Do trivia.
I'll be hanging.